Some big-time basketball underway at the Frost Bank Center. I'm Casey Viera. Why tonight? History is on the line for your San Antonio Spurs.
Hey, this is Jeff Garcia, host of Locked On Spurs. Can we cool it on this whole De'Aaron Fox trade him away already? Let's get away from that already.
And I'm Devin Brown. Welcome to the show here on Locked On Spurs podcast.
This is Locked On Spurs Squad Show, the twice-a-week show where Spurs talk gets real. No filters, no fluff, just raw takes, sharp opinions, and straight-up passion for the game. The way only Locked On Podcast Network knows how. Let's drop some dimes and squad up. The Spurs Squad Show starts now.
Indeed, it does once again. You heard the animation, you heard the introduction. Welcome into the Spurs Squad Show, of course, on Locked On Spurs, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, every game. You know where to find us right here on Locked On Spurs, along with the host of the title podcast, Jeff Garcia, man in the middle, and Devin Brown, Mr. San Antonio Sports Hall of Famer, NBA champion, former Spur. There he is right there. Show him some love. My name is Casey Viera. I'm merely Casey. A lot to hit on today, guys, because 4-game road trip on deck. Some hypotheticals that we're going to hit on theoretically, probably months out in advance. And some ideas, I guess you could say, about officiating the league or reporting stats, if you will.
Interesting.
The rest of the way.
Yeah.
But I say we dive right into it, right?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go right into it. So Miami's in town. You're 4-0 Spurs this evening, in the middle of a stretch where, should they make it at even 5, they will have found themselves as the first team in franchise history to do that. Be 5-0. Believe it or not, that has never happened in the history of the organization. For better or worse, I know that. I think that's been everyone's collective reaction with that. And Devin, I'm going to start with you. You've been a part of these, for lack of a better term, barometer games, so to speak. For better or for worse, things that kind of reveal the identity of a team probably way too early in the season when we place labels on them. Again, for better or for worse. Going into these types of games, what's kind of, I guess, the collective mindset inside of a locker room like that with a young Spurs team like this, knowing that the narrative, they hear the people chattering, praising them at HEB, all those things like you said. Right. How did they kind of live up to the hype of this moment?
Well, here's how you got to approach tonight. Got to go in, got a tough opponent, all right, in the Miami Heat. Jeff made a reference to Eric Spoelstra last time. Great coach, student of the game, and a lot of people don't know this, but when I worked out for Miami, he was the guy. Pat Riley on the side, he was the guy that worked me out. So no Eric, Coach Spo, very well. On that side of it, the way we look at it, they're gonna be tested tonight. All right, should be a good game. Know the game's going on right now. On the other side of it, you get to 5-0, you pass up a lot of great teams. You got to finish the job at the end of the day. But for now, we love where the Spurs are right now, Casey.
Jeff, I know you like stirring up the headlines a little bit. You know, you're all about the fine print when it comes to quotes. Devin, I'm not sure if you've seen this yet, but there was a little bit of incentive that was added ahead of the game from Bam Adebayo. Be mindful, Victor Wembanyama has yet to beat the Miami Heat. There's only 3 tries, but he has yet to beat the Miami Heat. So he was asked, Adebayo, in the pregame, his thoughts on playing against Victor, and obviously the fact he's 7'5" and all those things that we've known by now. This is what Bam had to say. We have told people in our league, I feel like people that are holding the mics are more amazed on how tall he is than we are. Yes, that is Bam Adebayo on Victor Wembanyama. So as someone who loves a good piece of cheesemate, Jeff Garcia, your reaction.
You know what? As much as, obviously I'm covering the Spurs and, rooting for them to do well, I kind of like what Bam had to say. I like that. That shows a little competitiveness in him. And like, hey, yeah, he's Victor and he's all that. But at the end of the day, he's still a basketball player. And we got to take care of business tonight if you're a Miami Heat fan and, of course, a Miami player. Good on Bam. Good for him. Good for him to not, falling into the trap. Like, oh, my God, yes, it's Wemby. What can I do? Oh, no, little old me. No, yeah. you know what? Come into the game, bring your best. Wemby's going to bring his best. Bam's going to bring his best, and let the two big men battle. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with what he said. You know, he didn't, talk down to Wemby. He didn't make fun of him. He didn't stir the pot. He just said, okay, and so what? I'm pretty sure Bam has faced a guy by the name of Boban. He faced a guy named Bol. Sure, they're not at the same level as Wemby, but yeah, he's right. Bam and the rest of the NBA has played against tall people like Wemby before.
Devin, what you got?
I love you, Casey. You came right to me because Jeff, did you say Boban?
I did say Boban, yes.
Okay. I'll have to go back.
Now, I'm just saying he's against tall people.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch some tapes from Boban and Wemby, and then Wemby and the other
Bol. Hey, remember that's Shaq's favorite guy over Wemby. Remember that.
Hey, okay. That's going to Shaq and Dave Robinson's relationship back in the day on a non-autograph sign.
There's levels to that one.
Yeah.
We weren't there. I don't know. I've heard the story, but I don't know. Here's what I'm going to say about that. Bam's being a Miami Heat player. Yeah. That's Coach Spo. That's Pat Riley. Hey, that's Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway stuff right there. What is Bam supposed to say? Come out and say, Wemby, give us 40. No.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Right there with you.
So for him to say something like that, I hope that Wemby sees it. And then you got to do the political thing after the game and say, no, it was just game 5. I didn't see anything that he said. We're just playing Miami. I love when players do that because it's not true.
Yeah.
See those comments, play your best game.
I'm right there with you, Devin. I have no problem with what he had to say. Yeah, he's not, like I said earlier, he's not going to say, oh, no, it's Wemby. What can I do? Oh, no, I'm going to just crumble in the corner here and just hide away from him. No, he's not going to do that. And I'm pretty sure if it was reversed and somebody asked Wemby a similar question, he'll probably say so many words the same thing.
Yeah. He's currently got 13 points and 6 rebounds right now. That's the high of anyone. So he's Bam, that is, doubling down on that a little bit. Miami an early advantage. Devin, going back to that, the Pat Riley aspect of it, Spoelstra, that's just Miami Heat culture. That's what it is. I've always wondered, the media, we stir it up. It's our job to push some buttons to get you guys to say the right thing, to get a counter headline to their headline. Inside of a locker room is the idea of, for lack of a better term, bulletin board material. Is that overblown, or does that exist? Like something like today, like would that be something that's on the mantle up there on the billboard? Okay.
Let's approach it this way.
Okay.
Being that I was on the in the AAU world for about 4 or 5 years, I've come to realize, and this is growing, as a coach and a basketball, head that I am, these guys play a lot of games against each other. So there's not that Larry versus Magic dynamic anymore because these guys see so much. I'm gonna tell you this real quick. Chris Paul one year had a great opportunity of playing with him for about 3.5 years. He was going to fly me out to Los Angeles to play against Kobe because he didn't like us doubling Kobe Bryant. So he wanted me to come out to LA to some private runs so I can get a feel for what Kobe does. Kobe's not going to do anything different from the summer than he is going to do when the lights are out there. So he wanted me to get out there and guard him. That way I see him. And I'm not like, hey, man, that's Kobe Bryant. Nah, what's up, KB? Hey, good to see you again, blah, blah, blah. And that's my point. So these guys, it's not so much bulletin board material. It's more, if I'm Miami and Wemby answers Bam in that little quote, Bam's just going to look around the locker room and say, you know what? That's not Wemby. That's not who he is. I know that guy. I work out with him during the summer. He's just talking. All right. I know when it gets to the nitty gritty and we get on the court, I got him. Guys, don't help me that much. That's all it is, Casey.
That's interesting. And see, these are why, like, I say this in all seriousness. These are why, like, I ask questions like that to you, because there's very much the perception of what you said, or I should say what I said, in my mind at least, just stirring up the billboard material, the bulletin board. That's the word I'm looking for, the bulletin board stuff. But I guess a matter of, like you said, it's not Larry versus Magic anymore these days with these guys. Yeah.
Hey, Devin, was there ever a player that did get under your skin so much?
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was that?
Willie Green being one of them.
Really? What would he do? What would he do to get you going?
I'm going to give you the second one, and then I'm going to explain the second one better than I am Willie. Do you remember Leandro Barbosa from Phoenix?
Yep. Of course. The Blurred. Brazilian Blurred, right? Yeah.
Well, at the
time, by the Spurs too.
Yeah, at the time when he was playing, he was with Phoenix with Joe Johnson, Steve Nash, a healthy Amari Stoudemire. And when I say healthy, I mean very healthy, dunking everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he would come out there, check in off the bench. You know, we had been out there playing for a little bit. He'd check in off the bench, and he's like, Dev, you're going too fast. You're pressing. Relax. Have fun. And I'd look at him, and I'm like, hey, man, you just got out here. Don't start that. Like, don't start that. I'm having to guard Steve Nash, Joe Johnson, Amari Stoudemire at times when I was with the Spurs, and we'd go small. And then I got this guy coming out here stirring the pot. And I'm like, hey, man, not now. Because that goes back to our summer league days playing against each other. He played for Phoenix. I played for San Antonio. So he knew how to stir the pot. He was one of them. I can't remember Casey's last name, but he played for Phoenix as well. It was a kid
Casey Jacobson. Casey Jacobson. You know what? They treated him and Kyle Korver. They treated these guys like they were just it. And I could not stand either one of them. Hey man, what was the thing we were talking about the other day? The hot and the cold closeouts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I will give you this. I'll close out hot to Corvert, but Casey, I'm letting him shoot that. Go ahead. Go ahead, big man. You good?
He's got PTSD just thinking about these Corvert closeouts over here, chasing around Barbosa all day.
Hey, Casey and Jeff. Well, you know who my coach was with San Antonio. So if I didn't fulfill one of those assignments, either Bruce was coming in, Bruce Bowen, or it was Pop just yelling at me. So, yes, I get a little PSD. I'm sorry. Sorry, Casey.
Pick your poison, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Poison. Somehow or another, we'll get this back to the central direction that this was a barometer game. And I'm actually kind of glad that we pivoted a little bit to that, because I think it kind of speaks to a lot of the side elements, aspects of this that will help in this Spurs team kind of, switching the narrative a little bit and maybe kind of becoming a veteran team sooner before later. The book obviously is still out that. All right, we're going to hit a pause briefly. We'll step aside in a minute. And when we come back, we are going to talk about a guy, one of the veterans on this team, and a conversation that's been stirring about social media, about De'Aaron Fox and whether or not he is still a long-term piece of the puzzle. As this was Jeff's idea, something that's been bothering him. Gonna hit on that.
It has.
It has. Gonna hit on that and a little bit more coming up on the Spurs Squad Show right here on Locked on Spurs. But before we get into all of that, I want to talk to you about a friend of ours who's really helped in my workouts recently. And who might that be, should you ask? Well, it's Peloton, because admittedly, I like mixing things up with my workouts. I'm one of the type that just can't stick with one plan. I got to change it up. Peloton's, as we know, shaping the future, the brand new of the brand new game, if you will. They have this new technology out. It's called the Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus. Most advanced equipment yet. I've heard about it. Looking forward to trying it. Designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether it's running, lifting, cross training. And of course, you know the deal with Peloton. You got your favorite instructors right there with you. Think of it as kind of like training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan and stay motivated and really, above all else, hit peak performance, because I think that's kind of what we're all looking for, right? That's what I'm looking for, at least. Personalized class recommendations, they're the ones that keep you engaged. You get the workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level each and every week. So where do you go from here? Let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. That's the word one, WONE, Peloton.com, to get in on the fun, if you will. And, if you're anything like me, enjoy the workout, what's ahead. A lot still to come ahead here on this program, because we're trying to figure out to really make the most of what the Spurs roster is going to be looking like come February. All right, let's bring back our roster. There they are. Host of the title podcast, Locked on Spurs, Jeff Garcia, NBA champion, Devin Brown. All right. I will preface this by saying this is social media. I will preface this by saying it's social media.
There you go. There you go.
But listen, people like to talk when good things are happening, for better or worse. People like to present scenarios, for better or worse, of what team construction looks like. So, given Dylan Harper's great play recently, given Stephon Castle's great play recently, there's been the sentiment going around that perhaps De'Aaron Fox, I don't want to say expendable, but the idea of moving him is not as far-fetched as one would assume. Again, social media having this conversation, not I. I tend to look at it as in exactly that. But Jeff, you have a stance, and every day, almost every day, I text you guys, what do you have in mind for the squad show? And this is something that I think you replied a matter of a minute, because you feel away.
I did. I chimed in real fast. Can we just pump the brakes on this? Let's trade De'Aaron Fox because we have a lot of guards. No. First of all, it's way too early for that kind of talk. All right. Sure, Steph has had a great last year, right? Rookie of the year. Thumbs up. Good job. But we still don't know what he will be down the road. You keep a veteran like Fox around. Harper just barely entering the NBA. He's still a baby. You don't know what he'll look like down the road. Injuries could happen. Knock on wood, it doesn't. But, they do happen as part of the game. You like to have a veteran who's been there, done that, has tasted some NBA postseason for this young squad that, for a large part, they have not ever gone past the 82 games. You keep him around. Enough with this talk. The Spurs invested a lot of money in him. First of all, and also by rule, you can't trade him this season. It's basically just like Lauri Markkanen last year. Same situation with Fox.
February 4th, I believe, is the that he becomes eligible.
Exactly. So you can't trade him. Yeah. You can't trade him anytime soon. So, and it'll be it's like that's way after the the trade deadline too, I believe. So correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but
no, it's before the deadline, but you're really limiting your options up until then.
Yeah,
something were to
my point is you don't trade a guy who's a scoring machine. They call him Swiper the Fox for a reason. He doesn't get a lot of shine for what he does defensively when it comes to pickpocketing. He led the league in steals a few years ago. This is a guy who wanted to be here. It's rare in San Antonio. Rare that an all-star guard, like just an all-star, says, if I'm going to go and trade, I want to go to San Antonio. Not even in the Tim Duncan era, when Devin Brown was around, that rarely happened. Like a guy of that caliber. No, you keep him around. Now, down the road, we can have that conversation. And yeah, maybe Harper or Castle will be the heir apparent to him. But that's not it now. You don't want to give away a guy who's an instant 20 points or more. Devin, Casey, we saw this in the last few games. The Spurs went in a scoring drought. They couldn't find the bucket. I bet you anything, if De'Aaron Fox was on this roster, that 26-point lead versus Brooklyn stays around the 20-point lead. That 20-something lead against Toronto stays around 20 if Fox is there. No, enough of the talk. You keep Fox around for as long as you can.
Dev?
All right, we're going to go here with this. Reminds me a little bit, and you guys can chime in on this, obviously. But, Jason Kidd was the free agent, wasn't he?
Yep.
He was. And there's a lot of talk about him coming here. And all it did with Tony's side is it made Tony step up. Okay.
Good point.
So you have De'Aaron Fox. There's a couple things here. They extend him. You got a couple of the young Spurs players in year 1, year 2 of their contract. So you're going to monitor them.
Mm-hmm.
Yet in the same deal, you already know what De'Aaron Fox brings to your basketball team. So he's an all-star, great player. He's going to work well with Wemby. You know all these things, or you wouldn't do, the things that you've done. So when you talk about front office stuff, you look at it this way. You go, you know what, De'Aaron, come out here. Let's see what we get out of him. All right. And if it doesn't fit, San Antonio's not afraid to pull the trigger on players. But right now, dealing De'Aaron, it's not going to happen. There's too much money, like Jeff said. There's too much money invested in him. Mm-hmm. All right. So you're going to just try and make this thing work. And at the end of the day, what Pop gets to do, a little, I don't want to say knife in the back, but I want to say he wants to see what Coach Mitch is about. So you put all of this on Mitch's table and you go, yeah, big fella, I've been dealing with this for 20 years. So go from there.
I think it's I'm with you, and I think it's a very premature sentiment that people are having.
Well, Casey, I don't want to interrupt you, but there is on Press Row. I've been to Press Row a couple of times so far this early season, and even some other media members are chirping about it too.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's still premature for them too.
Yeah.
Whether it's social media, any media, it's premature. But I will say this: I don't think it's silly. I don't think it's silly to suggest that because De'Aaron Fox, the second that ping pong ball dropped and it went to 2, and the worst kept secret in the world it was going to be that it was going to be Dylan Harper that was coming here. The whole dynamic of De'Aaron Fox in San Antonio changed. It did. And De'Aaron, at least in this case, had the luxury of going into a contract season. It's not like he committed to the money, signed the dotted line first, and then they drafted Harper. Fox was in a situation here where they took Harper and he was going into the offseason into potentially a contract season, and he made the decision to come back. De'Aaron Fox's camp is very well aware. His agent's very well aware of the circumstances of what it could be. There's just it's very obvious, the worst kept secret here. That's fine. That's fine though. Because he's looking at this situation, and yes, 229 million reasons will help you make that decision. Mm-hmm. But he's going in and he's saying, yeah, okay, I'm getting my extension. But I know that there's a chance this is going to happen. This could happen realistically. And so if he wanted to chase the money aspect of it to get that $229 million, like he should have prioritized that, absolutely. And I think he made out like a bandit, the fact that he was able to pull all that off,
Right. Casey, can I say this?
Yeah.
Draft night, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I was sitting with father-in-law. It shocked all of us. Okay. His wife's from San Antonio. Now, De'Aaron's a good player.
Right.
Let's say he's coming with the championship from Sacramento. I'm just going to throw a scenario at you. He comes with a championship from San Antonio.
Right.
He's involved in the war room on draft night.
Right.
And he goes, everything's projecting that y'all are going to get Dylan Harper. from my aspect, I want to be here. His wife is from here.
Right.
Yeah.
He goes, don't go that. Get somebody else.
Right.
You see my point?
Yeah.
Let's not forget
to realize you have these great players, and they made a trade for him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever it was last season, whatever.
Yeah.
The Spurs are very good about engaging with players, whether you engage with them back or if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
This could be a message to him. We need you more around.
Oh, I think it certainly is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And real fast, throw this in real fast. Let's not forget, before the trade was finalized, he flat out said he would like to play with Castle. So he was aware of the situation.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is, so obviously when you have a player of De'Aaron Fox's magnitude, you don't draft another guard because you don't want to send any messages, to them. So when I was with San Antonio, a lot of the guards that they brought in, as far as point guards, they had a guy from Australia. You had Bano. I played with Bano. But these weren't really threats to Tony, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really, the only threat that he had was Speedy Claxton, if y'all remember him.
Oh, yeah.
I went to Hofstra. I say I'm San Antonio's second greatest Hofstra import after Speedy. So
yeah. So Speedy came here like, I don't feel like sitting behind Tony.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while there, before Speedy got hurt that year, okay, he was playing very well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got Tony, your superstar, over there looking around like, hey, what's going on here? You can't have that.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have De'Aaron. Hey, listen, De'Aaron's he's an all-star. He is a great player. He is one of the top 5 point guards in the league on some polls, right? And so you just have to be careful about, because some of these guys, they don't take stuff like that well. That's all I wanted to say, Casey.
I agree with that, but my thing is that if there was the sentiment on that side that he felt that strongly, he was going into a contract season and he could have bet it on himself and he could have even earned that much more. That's why I'm kind of like, I'm looking at it and I understand the loyalty part of it. And maybe that's too strong to say loyalty, because I think when you say loyalty like that, there was implying that something's broken and it's not my place to suggest anything's broken. But the way I view it is that he was a very advantageous spot that this happened, that he can go up there and he can say, hey, you did this, but you also owe me. Can you take care of me too? And clearly they did. They gave him the max money. They said, okay, we value you. We value. That's why I thought that he made out great. I thought he made out fantastic when he got that contract, because he's in a spot where he got his full value. He's the starting point guard. They're going to prioritize him in the immediacy, because you never know. Early indications would say Harper is going to be fantastic, but he is the number 2 pick. He is a rookie at the end of the day, so you don't know entirely how that's going to pan out. He was in a very advantageous spot, in my opinion, that while I understand the aspect of, hey, what are you doing taking a point guard? And I get that, because I would probably feel the same way. I would feel the same exact way. If that's the way he felt, I would feel the same exact way. But I think the Spurs made out okay in compensating him for that. And if you look at it a few years ahead of time and it doesn't work, that's guaranteed money going his way. And if he finds a better scenario, a better home, we'll have an idea of what that looks like in a few years from now. If there is some combative element, I say combative way too strong, but an element of competition that would suggest they want to prioritize Harper. It's not like Fox is in a bad spot here. I just think, going back to the end of the day, though, I would not move him right now. Yeah, and also not to move him right now. Yeah.
And let's not forget this too. Having him on the court is going to make life a lot easier for everybody. Yeah. If they want to win, And if it's about winning, then Fox is going to help you get W's. I actually spoke to Jordan McLaughlin, his teammate in Sacramento and now in San Antonio. And, obviously Jordan's getting a lot of the minutes right now because of Fox getting out, but he says right here, and my conversation with him, I said, quote, getting him back and makes a lot of the guys' jobs easier for sure. He's a special challenge. He's talking about the opposing team. Cannot wait to get him back. He has that. It'll just make this Spurs team deeper. So why would you want to lose that and trade, if they could, trade him, immediately when this team is poised to rack up a lot of W's and maybe get a 1-6 spot in the West?
All right. So here's the deal. And I think I said it on our last broadcast. De'Aaron Fox in the middle of the floor with Wemby is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What are you going to take away?
Yeah.
And here's why I say this. What De'Aaron Fox does in a high pick and roll scenario, which has been a part of the Spurs offense for 30 years now, when De'Aaron Fox comes off to that left hand and Wemby pops, the big guy is responsible for stopping Fox, which at some point is ridiculous. I throw it over my head. I have Wemby shooting practice threes.
Yeah.
Now, if I do the other way, if I don't stop the ball and I'm able for De'Aaron Fox to get into the lane, when he kicks it out, and I want you guys to answer this, who are you more comfortable with out there? A Castle, Harper, or Vassell and Champagne?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So the Spurs have looked at this from every angle. When we have De'Aaron with the basketball, it's kind of like Chris Paul. Everybody disrespects Chris Paul's year last year, but he was great for the team and great for the organization.
Oh, I thought he had a great year last year.
Really well.
So now you have a De'Aaron Fox that's 10 years younger that can do a little bit more than Chris. And Chris is a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer. He can do a little bit more right now for what the organization needs. So the Spurs dealing him,
no. And I'm not advocating for that. I think I'm with you. I think that's silly, but I think we're all, we'd be blind to not acknowledge that there is potentially a situation that's saying, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's just kind of basketball by default. Like, a guy who's 9 years younger on an very affordable contract to De'Aaron Fox in 2 years, going to be 30 years old. That's just kind of the way the business of it works,
Yeah. I ask you this. So he signed the max deal, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So what do you get in return?
Well, that's the other thing.
Okay.
That's the other thing too. That's the other thing is that money very conveniently matches anywhere else.
Yeah. So you're that list is like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Devin, we're talking about point guards here. You mentioned a guy right now, Tony Parker. Just briefly, what was it like playing with him on that floor?
Tony is very because you got to remember, we're wing players playing with a guy that has a Greg Popovich in his ear. So we may be open, but Pop is telling him he needs him more aggressive. Hey, listen, I was waiting on somebody to ask me that. Steven Jackson hit on it a couple years ago on their, deal. Yeah. And he had some very interesting words, which a lot of us felt the same way. Hey, listen, you can be wide open.
Mm-hmm.
But Tony has the Godfather in his ear.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, but here's the greatest thing that I did. And I have to refer to my high school players, the guys I played with in high school. My bad. Tony wouldn't even do that. He was so laser focused on what he was doing to make the Spurs good that me, Bruce, Brent, Manu at times, they'll tell you, hey, man, I was open, man. That was a tough shot you took there. But like I said, Pop had him going one way, and it was kind of like, okay, so to answer your question, he was a good point guard.
You don't say.
He was good for what San Antonio needed at the time.
All right, there we go.
I think that's a good place to leave it. As well, let's pivot from France to Poland, I guess you could say, because coming up on the other side, we're going to talk about Jeremy Sochan. Of course, has been out the duration of the season, been battling a myriad of injuries, slowly working his way back onto the practice floor. Question now is, when he is back, how does he fit into that equation? Does he fit at all? We'll find out. Got that coming up in a little bit more. But before we get there, want to talk to the business owners out there, if you will, something that might pique your interest. Because, yes, if you are a business owner, I want to advocate for rippling, because here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier. But now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams. And to be honest, they don't work together, right? That's not SaaS. I guess you could say that's SAD, software as a disservice, if you will. And that's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, finance, all that in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace, essentially, you want to call it what it is, just a mess of disconnected tools. That's what it is, and they fix it all up. They put it in one system designed to give leaders all the things that you're looking for in that spot if you're a business owner. What do you want? You want clarity, you want speed, you want control, you want all of that just in one place to keep things in check, if you will. Right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnba. Rippling.com, that's rippling.com/lockedonnba. You go there, you're going to get 6 months free. And of course, let them know that your friends here at Locked On would be taking care of you along the way. All right, approaching the bottom of the hour, I should say almost the top of the 9 o'clock hour here on the Spurs Squad Show, right here on Locked On Spurs. If this is the first time you're checking in with us, well, probably is, because we've only had one other of these squad shows up to this point. Probably is. What are
By the way, I'm looking at the halftime stats right now. The Spurs are in a fight right now.
They are.
Hey, dogfight.
They're in a dog fight. Oh,
well,
my God. I love it, Devin. I love it. They need a dog fight right
They
now.
need it. Yeah.
Yes. By the way, Devin, you know, my last show, Locked On, the Mothership, I did the one I released today. I talked about how the Spurs, they needed to be tested. I said, I think they need that already. And I had fans already saying that I'm not a Spurs fan because I want them to be tested. I mean, my God, I can't win, Devin. I can't win.
Hey, no. Hey, listen. You know how San
I know how it goes. I know.
Hey, they love that 4-0. You start talking about the other stuff.
Hey, you know what else they care about, and you know what else is polarizing, and you know what else? Who else feels a way about? People feel a way about things. Jeremy Sochan. And Jeremy Sochan is on the verge of coming back. When he comes back, that's to be determined. We don't particularly know when that's going to be happening, but there's a chance it could be this weekend when the West Coast road trip starts. There's a chance it could be by the time they come back in a week from LA, from Phoenix and LA. We don't particularly know that. But what we do know right now is that there's a lot of guys on this Spurs team in the rotation that appear to be fitting in pretty nicely, to the point that perhaps some of Jeremy's weaknesses are going to be a little bit more exposed should he find his way back into the rotation, if you will, because some of the other guys are maybe a little more meshing a little bit better together than Jeremy perhaps would with his skill set. So Devin, I'll send this to you first. Jeremy Sochan the level of pressure that he has for a rotational spot, for a guy who is trying to get himself back into a rotation, how much pressure does that type of position come with, knowing that the guys who you're battling with for your minutes have been playing pretty good?
Yeah, so you don't want to disrupt things, right? 4-0, get a win tonight, 5-0. Nobody in professional sports wants to mess that thing up. So coming back, trying to battle in a rotation is one of the hardest things to do. I had to do that. Was playing well in the 2004 season and got hurt my back, and came back around playoff time. And although Pop loves me, hey, we are the number 2 seed or 3 seed, whatever it was. It's the most difficult thing in the world to do. But I'll tell you what, he brings a different element to the game. And most importantly, he's one of Wemby's good friends. So if you want Wemby getting in that front office talking about, why is my boy not playing? You don't want that noise. So he's going to get his opportunity. For him, make the most of it, go from there.
Jeff, do you think the fact that he hasn't been offered a contract extension, he is a restricted free agent in the offseason, the Spurs do have the immediate rights to match should they offer the contract, the restricted free agency, offer the signing sheet, they will have that right. So it's not like they're ditching it entirely. Do you think that puts an element of pressure on him, knowing that he needs to go out and show out?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And if it's not going to be with San Antonio after this season, then it's going to be with somebody else. So why not show that potential next employer, what you can do on the court? Yeah, of course. He's going to want to show out. He's going to want to be that irritant on the court. Yeah, what team would not want that on their roster? Especially imagine if you're a playoff team, you need a little more grit. Sohan will give that to you. But it's not just the grit that Sohan gives. It's everything else. So, it's interesting because I looked at some of his numbers. Obviously we only have last year's numbers, so we don't know how they would translate into this squad. But if we're just using that as a sample, and he's exactly what Mitch Johnson says all the time. He's just a basketball player. As cliche as that is, the numbers do show it. And it's interesting because I'll pull it up right here. Literally every stat you can think of, Synergy Sports grades him as good. All right. Is he good in transition? Yeah, he's considered a good player in transition. What about overall in the half court? Synergy Sports has him as a good player. The list goes on and on. What about plays after a timeout? How effective is he? He's very good. So that should tell you example. He does a little bit of everything that can impact winning. And I think as much as it's unfortunate that he's not in the rotation right now, then as Devin mentioned, trying to claw his way back into it, I think when he does get into the rotation, he's gonna do exactly what we've seen over the last few years, and it's gonna help this team win. Although real quick though, Casey, before I turn it back over to you, so remember how that whole point guard experiment was just like a complete debacle? By the way, quick story. I was there at practice, post-practice session, media session, where he just couldn't take it anymore. Where you all know Sohan, jovial, smiling, laughing, giggling, cutting up. That was the rare time I actually saw him really upset about it. And it was interesting because I think a few practices later, Pop went up to him, gave him a big hug. And I think that's when he was going to tell him like, hey, this experiment is over. But interesting enough, last year, when he was the primary ball handler in a pick and roll situation, setting it up and everything, Synergy Sports has him as an excellent pick and roll distributor as a guard. Go figure.
Go ahead.
Hey, listen, it's the same thing as AAU parents putting up 7 videos from the weekend. I just saw 3 cool games. They put up 7 highlights, and I go, when did that happen? Go ahead, Casey. I'm sorry.
Man, it never fail with the parallels, dude. Never fail. Basketball's a beautiful game, isn't it?
I love it.
My thing with Sohan was this. I don't feel like you said, a whole bunch of things good, but
He does.
not
Like, down the
great.
list, everything's just good.
I feel like that's not with what the Spurs. We talk so much about this team and the fact that Victor is not your traditional, I was going to say 5, just player period. You throw out, it's positionless basketball, of course, is just the default. We know that with Victor. I feel like the little bit of good that he does, as the synergy would suggest, it almost doesn't even particularly matter, because with Victor, you might need some guys to do certain thing great, which appears to be the case. In order to make him work, you're willing to sacrifice. And what I'm alluding to is the shooting, because he's a better rebounder than Julian Champagnie. He's a better defender than Julian Champagnie. He is not a better shooter than Julian Champagnie. He is not. He's not a better facilitator. Or I should say, he is a better facilitator than Julian Champagnie. But they don't need Champagnie to facilitate.
Yeah.
You have Harper, you have Castle, you have Fox, you have Wemby to do all those things. You need guys to complement Victor. And I don't know if Sohan complements Victor by all those things. I don't. I haven't seen enough, maybe in small spurts, perhaps, but to warrant potentially a multi-year contract that could be upwards of $90 million. When you have a couple more guys a few years down the road that you're going to have to pay, and Harper and Castle potentially, I don't know if that's a given. And Devin, I don't know if there's enough of a, to use Jeff's word, synergy to think that this could be a long-term thing here.
No, so right now, okay, and I'm trying to fit this into what it is exactly that you're saying. He's not going to play the 1, so he's going to play the 4. So when you and go back to the game the other night, when you go with Harrison Barnes at the 4, and he goes, he missed one shot late, but he's perfect all night long from the 3. Well, Harrison Barnes is a better shooter than Sohan. So where does he fit in? I'm trying to find this the way you're trying to find it.
Yeah. And you know where he fits in, guys, and he just hasn't done it. If he just had developed by now a little mid-range, I'm not asking him to be Steph Curry. I'm not asking him to be Devin Vassell from a deep 2 or Julian Champagnie. Just something away from the paint where he'll at least keep defenses honest. He hasn't done that. He hasn't done that at all.
Well, and Jeff, you look at the videos from the summer, and he was working on his 3 and hitting deep 3s. But then again, I transfer that, Jeff, to AAU and those videos. The Chris,
not to downplay the job that Chris Brickley does, because it'd be infinitely better than I do. But I never get wrapped up in the Chris Brickley videos, the open runs. When they say been in the lab and you see things like that.
Yeah. Been in the lab. Hey, but it just depends on what you want to use. 2 exclamation points or 3.
Hey, we have, I guess, one more exclamation point we need to hit on. No, that was a terrible segue. That doesn't make sense. Let's try that again. You were talking about Harrison Barnes. This makes a little bit more sense. He had a pretty good idea coming off the win the other day, and perhaps a new aspect of the game that Victor Wembanyama should be credited. We're going to explain exactly what that was and tidy things up before we put a bow on this edition of the Spurs Squad Show right here on Locked On Spurs. But I want to talk to you about Robinhood before we do. Yeah, your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, every day, locking in on every opening to beat your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. You trade stocks, ETFs, options, futures, crypto, all in one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop on Robinhood Legends Advanced Tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/your money. Again, that's Robinhood.com/your money. Your money, your move. That's Robinhood. All right, welcome back. We got about maybe 7 minutes or so before we put a bow on things. And when we do, be sure to hang around a little bit while I know you're watching the game. When you're done with the game, come back. Leave the YouTube page open for Locked On Spurs. I guess that's a good middle ground to do it. Yeah. Come back. Devin and I will be putting a bow on all of what's been an eventful game so far. We had out of the corner of our eyes with Spurs Miami trying to move to 5-0 on the campaign. Of course, you're going to hear a full breakdown of it all on the Spurs postcast. That's coming up as soon as the game.
And Casey, they're still in that dogfight right now. I'm looking at some of the snaps. I love it, man. I like seeing young kids get their mettle tested.
Heat Spurs. There you go. We'll talk about a guy who has not been a part of Heat Spurs, at least in the glory days of Heat Spurs. Harrison Barnes, coming off the win against Toronto the other day. How Victor Wembanyama, there was asked post-game about Victor Wembanyama and the fact that he only blocked one shot, which came with minutes left in the fourth quarter. To which, I'm paraphrasing here, he was saying that even at that, you got to take the numbers with a grain of salt because Victor redirects traffic. He derails drives. And so it prompted the conversation of, well, should there be a new stat? Drives derailed, or at least that's what he pitched it, which basically you get a guy going full on to the rim theoretically, or somebody in the paint on their way, and the defender is there, and he just forces him to back things out and hit a reset on it. I think that's what he was going for. That's what it sounded like. Do you want that as a new stat, Mr. Jeff Garcia?
I do. I think it'd be fun. Victor's just changing the game, isn't he? From, as you read on the rundown right there, drives derailed. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they even have a newer stat. What was that with the stocks? Like steals and blocks?
Steals and blocks.
Yeah. So, Victor's just changing the game. Wasn't it Anthony Davis? I don't know if he jokingly was being joking about it, but he was all like, shouldn't there be a height requirement now in the NBA after facing Wemby on game 1 of the season? So, it just goes to prove that when Wemby's on, he's on, and he's nearly darn impossible to stop on both ends of the court, but especially defensively. I still say till today, Devin and Casey, that Wemby should have at least already got a DPOY under his belt already. Should have. And especially was it the first year where it came down to him and Gobert? And even though the numbers were just staggering in favor of Wemby, like not even a contest, they gave it to Gobert regardless. So, oh well. But he's just changing the game as we speak.
Devin, what you got?
It's a very interesting stat, as a former player. But when you catch the ball on the wing or, anywhere on the court, you naturally look where he is. And that's what these players are doing. So, if that translates into him winning Defensive Player of the Year, Jeff, I completely agree with you. You should have already won it once or twice. Then I'm with it. But then what's that going to lead to? How many times these guys get on and off the bus? Taking the hotel. I mean, I'm going, and I know I'm being, me with all that, but when you step on that basketball court, you drive the basketball, you better know where he is, and he affects the game that way. And what's the streak to now, Casey? What's the streak at for Wemby?
For blocks in a game?
At least one game.
Consecutive blocks? Games?
Yes.
90. Was it 89 or 90 he hit the other day?
Yeah, and I mean, that's 90, that takes effort. And he got the one the other night. I remember the broadcasters who were doing a great job mentioning that. But like I said, when you're a player on the floor, you better know where he is. Even with Toronto and all the length that they had, he was able to continue that because Toronto, I will give them credit. They're a good basketball team. They'll be good later, but they're a good basketball team with a lot of length.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's true. It's a good point. We'll find out. As we all know, he's been changing the game in every which way, and it wouldn't surprise me if it happened. All right. I think that's a good place to put a bow on our second Spurs squad show. a lot of productive dialogue, a lot of big hypotheticals, and I've enjoyed having the chatter with you two gentlemen, which will always continue every time we do this program. Of course, Jeff, the host of the day-to-day title pod, Locked On Spurs. What you got on deck for tomorrow, my friend?
Well, we invited our guest, James Pledger, out of San Antonio Sports Star. We're putting Devin Vassell in focus and just pretty much showing just how mature his game is showing, just that maturity of it. So we talk about that. And then we react to Draymond Green not listing the Spurs as a current Western Conference powerhouse. He doesn't have him on, he doesn't have the Spurs on their list. We'll react to that. Was that fair or not? Or maybe it was legit. Also, too, and this is more directed at Devin. Devin, am I still seeing that Steph Curry behind Casey's wall there?
That window.
I think I'm still seeing that
smaller and smaller.
Yeah. When he did his ad reads, I was like, wait a minute. I even left a note in the studio.
Heaven forbid a guy show off a family heirloom. My goodness.
Hey, you can take it down temporarily for an hour and then put it back up.
It's heavy.
Hey, Casey, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
San Antonio loves Steve Kerr for what he did with San Antonio.
Yeah.
When he comes with that gold or whatever they are, gold and blue, you should see it downtown. They don't like him.
Oh, I've been here. I've been here. I know. All right. Yeah. So that'll wrap things up for this edition of the Spurs Squad Show. As always, the Locked On Family Podcast Network. Be sure to check on Locked On Fantasy NBA. Josh Lloyd's got you covered there. Maybe by the time we check in tomorrow, it'll be a new stat for drives derailed that he'll have there for you as well. I can't speak to that, but what I can speak to is we got the postcast going on in probably about like 45 minutes real time. Once the game goes final, Devin and myself recapping all the action for you as the Spurs try to go to 5-0 for the first time in franchise history. So for the two gentlemen next to me, Devin Brown, Jeff Garcia, I'm Casey Viera. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of the game, and we'll talk to you for the postcast coming up in just a bit.